heard violence or something. Totally not the case. They barged in. They weren't invited in.
Anybody at all?
I don't know their names or anything. They barged in. I could identify them probably. Anyways, they barged in.
But they're not known personally to you guys?
No.
Okay.
So they barged in, and they started demanding, like, asking questions and this and I told them, like, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no violence here. It's just my daughter and I. Make a long story short, they went downstairs. They found him. They saw everything was quiet and that there was no violence or anything. So then they left. Then they come back a second time, and at this point in time,
were there like 5 people, 2 people, 3 people?
It was 2 now that came back. It was 1 originally, and everything was fine. He said everything was fine.
Was this person they showed?
And then he left. Then he called for somebody else to come with him. They then both came, and they were forcing themselves back into the house again after they said it was clear.
So they came at the second time, and you opened the door the second time to them?
No, he had opened the door, not realizing.
They were police officers? So they are police officers?
Yeah. So what?
Oh, okay.
Somebody called and said there was like domestic violence or something, but there wasn't. It was a wrong call. But when they came in the house,
right.
The first
so
officer.
They were police officers?
Yeah. So the police officer. Hold on. So the police officer came in and saw that there was nothing wrong.
Okay.
Commented, nice house, la 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 la, and then he left. No problem. So I finished cleaning. My dad's downstairs watching tennis, and all of a sudden he calls back up, like
the police officer.
Yeah. After he left, he's gone. Everything's fine. I'm vacuuming with my daughter. We're leaving. 5 minutes later, the doorbell rings. I don't hear it because I have the vacuum on. They ring it again. He answers the door. He goes, "Can you hear the door?" I was like, "No." So he answers the door, and there's another officer there now. He puts on his gloves. The other officer sees him. He puts on his gloves, and now they want to come in the house. I said, "Why? I said to the officer, "You were just here," and said, "There was nothing. It was a false call. We don't know who called. Go call them back and ask why they called." So then he then told the other officer is there, and he says, "Well, we want to come in." I said, "You guys, okay, you guys are..." So my dad was like, "Well, no, go get everybody came in. For whatever reason, you have to come." So then I said, "Why? What's going on? There's more to it. What else is going on?" No, I don't want to say it. They're harassing my dad. And I says, "Look, you guys inspected the house, brand new house, nice area, everything. You guys inspected the house. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing illegal. It's just my daughter and I. She's a little girl." I said, "And now you guys are back again. Why?" Because the first officer, I think he didn't like how my dad talked to him, like answered him.
I'm watching TV. I'm watching tennis. I got my computer out. And I'm sitting.
About what time was this? It's like 3:30 now.
About 2 o'clock.
Okay.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was almost 6 o'clock.
Oh, PM?
PM.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So then he comes down.
So why didn't you come before? Why are you coming now?
He just let me out.
They just released him now.
I asked for medical help.
They denied him the help. I went and spoke to the sergeant.
Okay, so
and
they
I
came
said,
the second time, and you guys, you let them in, blah, 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 and
Yeah.
what happened?
Then they forced their way in. So my dad says, "What are you doing?" So what? Like, there's no reason. So he shut the door. The officer put his foot there, and he rammed the door and pushed my dad. So my dad was following, right? Then they come and they jump him and they go, "That's it, you're under arrest." For nothing. My daughter is watching. I'm like, why? So I just stood back, let him do it. He goes down on the ground. They put the cuffs and everything. Then the officer, and they're pounding him. So,
Look at my hair.
pounding, and he's already cuffed. So I called 911. I said, I'm yelling. I go, "Tell him to stop. He's cuffed. Tell him to stop hitting him. Why are they hitting him? Stop, stop, stop." So then the other officer they have a wand that you can extend. Okay? So he goes like this. He pulls the wand out like this. He pulls it with this hand, and he goes like this to hit him. Now, my dad's laying on the floor. This is my dad laying on the floor. The back officer is like this with the wand out. Okay? I'm standing here on my stairs. My daughter's up on this stairs. The other officer, this is my dad's body, he is here, okay? with his knee down here, and he's going like this, wham, wham, hitting him, and he's like this, grabs his head and headlock, and he's going like this, pounding his head. So they're both beating him up. The other guy gets the wand. He's already handcuffed. He can't move. He's in a controlled environment. So then the other guy gets the wand, and he to beat him more. I go, what are you doing? And I'm yelling at him, stop, not touching nothing. Then he goes like this, he pulled it, and he goes like this to hit, and I caught it, and I'm standing there, and he goes, let go, you're obstruction of justice here. Right? I said, obstruct, I go, he's in a controlled environment, leave him alone, he's not moving, he's not even breathing. He wasn't breathing, he was out, passed out. Because he's such a big guy, they had his hands here, too much.
Okay,
so then the officers, so then they're suffocating him. He can't breathe. He's out. He's passed out. So then the one officer that kept kneeing him in the sides and everything, he would not stop. The officer that hit the wand, when I held, I said, stop. He's not doing anything. Stop. And I pleaded with him. And he looked at me, and it's like he snapped back. He goes, okay, his friend, his officer that was standing above, he goes like this. And his shoulder, he goes, stop, to the officer. The other officer then hit him once more and then stopped, and he's like, okay, he's under arrest. The guy never even hit him with the wand. He put it away, and they went to grab him up. This guy here, that was still going nuts on him, grabs him. He's a big guy. Grabs his t-shirt and pulls it, rips it, right, because he's pulling him, dragging him. So he says, no. So they were going to keep him, and
so they took him away.
So they took him, right? Then another officer comes now because,
he's gone.
yeah.
Okay.
But when the one officer, the one in the back here, he was bleeding on his head because in the scuffle he fell and he banged his head on my wall. You can see where he banged it. So the other officer saw that. So he was like beating on my dad because he's like protecting his other. Anyways, another officer gets it. The other officer gets brutal. You know, he's very insulting, very demeaning. And he's already cuffed in the back of a cruiser. There's no need to do anything.
Okay, so what is on this?
So he got beat up. So I went to the sergeant.
A Rodney King thing. A Rodney.
So I went to the sergeant. I said, look.
Rodney King? The guy that got abused on the LA?
Oh, so what happened was, I went to the sergeant. I says, look. I says, you're cops. One thing to arrest somebody. It's another thing to beat them after they're arrested. I go, you guys came to the house. Nobody was charged. Nothing had happened. It was false. I go, yeah, you guys are taking my dad in handcuffs. I go, no. And they were going to keep him overnight, and he had to go to bail hearing, all that stuff. I go, no, my father's getting out tonight.
He didn't ask me for medical help.
He asked for medical help. He's been nauseated.
After I got there, I got nauseous.
No, I'm gonna.
So we're here now to get a medical
Right.
report, and he needs to get assessed.
Yes,
He's nauseated.
he will be assessed.
Vomiting.
He will be assessed.
Okay.
He will be assessed. So, okay.
Go ahead and ask your questions. We'll try our best to answer.
Look at my legs. See the size of that one? Look at the size of that one from other kids.
So you had any run-ins with the police before?
No. It was just a young cop that got excessive. He's now being investigated. There's a whole report being done on it. Just the one.
It's going to be at Greenspan.
The officers that seeked treatment went to the hospital locally.